Hey friends, Leigh Brown here. Welcome back to My Kitchen, My Rules. And you know, cooking at home is all about sharing food and family and having fun, right? And what better way to do that than by making a mess of cookies? Now, why would you need to make cookies? I mean, I know that you might be watching this at some time other than Christmas. Well, maybe it's because you ran a marathon. See, and one of the reasons I run is so I can eat all the time. And because the Charleston Marathon was virtual, they mailed us our bling and it's got sparkles in it. And so yes, I'm gonna wear this as much as I can. And it came with a bottle opener. But today's recipe doesn't involve bottles. It's so easy that you can make this for birthdays or for a friend who's having a low day, or frankly, just for yourselves, or for all your family when they all come over to hang out. Super Bowl, lots of reasons. So here's what you need, friends. You only need a couple of things. You know you need some Dixie Crystal sugar. Yeah, they've been around since 1917 for a reason. And by the way, they're not GMO. And you should also know that cane sugar is only 15 calories per teaspoon. So if you're staying away from sugar, that's probably not a terrible idea, but if you're gonna use it, use the good stuff. I mean, for real, right? So we need 2/3 of a cup. I got kind of a mess going on here on my countertop. Okay, don't judge. So we need 2/3 of a cup. Look, I'm gonna have to put my bling behind my apron, y'all. It's gonna make too much noise, but I'm gonna wear it because I earned it, okay? So it's just very expensive and hard-earned jewelry. We need 2/3 of a cup of Dixie Crystal sugar. So 1 and 2. And then we need some butter. How much butter? Yeah, 2 cups, 2 sticks. Just kidding, it's 1 cup. Each stick is a half a cup. And so I would remind y'all that it's okay to eat calories, right? Because your body actually needs them to survive. And frankly, I like the calories that involve Dixie Crystal sugar and involve butter, right? Not the margarine. And if you didn't know it, room temperature butter is fine to leave out, right? Because it's a real thing. This is natural. This is not some sketchy margarine oleo thing. And you can leave it in your cupboard and have it soft, putting on toast, what have you. But if you left it in the refrigerator and need to get it room temperature for a recipe and you did not remember 24 hours in advance, put it in the microwave at 10-second intervals. You don't want to leave it in there for too long because it'll melt. And we need room temperature butter for this particular cookie to have the right consistency. Then we need some almond extract. I got McCormick's almond extract. You need, I don't know, half a teaspoon or thereabouts. Now when you're cooking and baking, you know you got to measure, right? The one thing you have some leniency on is your flavoring. I love almond extract, so there's extra in here, okay? So now we're gonna combine those at a nice medium speed until it's creamy. And you can see this is why you want room temperature butter, friends, because if you've got cold butter, this ain't happening. And if it's melted, it won't be creamy, it'll just be a slop. So, let's get the sugar and the butter creamed in. Then, oh, by the way, make sure your oven's at 350 degrees. I remembered today to get them out of the oven. So let's get this oven ready and check it real quick. So yes, we're at that perfect 350 degrees. And now you need 2 cups of flour. And y'all know, like really flour, you know why? Because it's the best. Why is it the best? I don't know. But my grandmother used it and I use it and it's the best. So end of discussion. So let's put in half of our allotted amount. So we'll put in 1 cup to start and we'll cream that in. Why am I not doing the whole 2 cups at the same time? Because I don't want a hot mess in my kitchen. It will fly all over the place. Do y'all like my cuckoo clock? And yes, I totally forgot to turn off the sound before I started making cookies. But then it's a festive sound, so we just won't worry about it because cookies are festive, right? Exactly. Now, you're gonna notice as you're mixing, it turns into little dough balls. That's cool, that's what you want. And now we need 1 more cup of flour. So, we'll get the rest of it. 1 and 2. And I feel like I'm calling off a dance move here. Oh, and somebody keeps asking me where I got these flour and sugar containers. I got them at the Walmart. I don't remember when, it's been a long time, and they probably didn't cost me very much. So they're not fancy canisters, friends. Just something that keeps air out because you really don't want your sugar and your flour to have air getting in there for myriad reasons. For me, it's because I live in a very humid area that'll just squarely mess it up. Okay, now don't over mix it because then it will turn into a real mess. It'll get tough, and we don't want tough cookies. Now here's your test, okay? Can you pick it up and make it into a ball? So see, it looks like it's all just little granules, but it will make a ball. So here's what we're gonna do. This is the fun part. It's why you keep your hands clean to cook. Make you a 1-inch ball. We're gonna put it on our cookie sheet and then mash it with your thumb. See, make a little indentation in the middle. And then you're gonna have that last fun little trick where you get your 5th ingredient, which is Smucker's Red Raspberry Jam. We use seedless because that's what my husband likes. But you could use grape, strawberry, boysenberry, whatever berry you want to use. No judgment, your kitchen, your rules. But we use raspberry around here. And frankly, that's the most famous flavor for this thumbprint cookie anyway. And it doesn't take much, okay? Just a wee tiny bit, which would be, I don't know, that much. It kind of depends on how big you make your cookies. So get your raspberry right in the indentation. It's gonna spread all over. And make sure you leave some space in between your cookies, couple inches. So we're gonna fill up the tray and then we're gonna cook it for 14 to 18 minutes. How long depends on your oven. But when you're ready, you'll see a little bit of light brown around the edges, and then we're gonna pull it out. So go ahead and make your cookies, and we'll see you after the product is ready. Now this is one of those recipes where you have some time to kill, you know, that 14 to 18 minutes while the cookies are cooking. And guess what you can do with that? Make a glaze, yay! So here's what you need. You need some Dixie Crystals powdered sugar, which is still non-GMOs. You need 1 cup of this. You need like a little bowl. You don't need a giant bowl for this. You're gonna make a glaze here. And that's gonna be, of course, the perfect topper to your cookies. So let's get 1/3 of a cup and 1/3 of a cup. And for all my math geniuses out there, I guess I could have measured it in advance, but you know, I had these nice 15 minutes to play with. And then you need about 1½ teaspoons of almond extract. So let's see, about that's much, a little bit more. And then you need enough water to make it into a glaze. And so that's 2 to 3 tablespoons. So you just have to be judicious there and figuring it out. And 2, and I'm gonna use a wee tiny bit, about 2½. And I'm gonna grab a whisk so it makes it into a pretty little glaze. And that's all you have to do to make the glaze. And so when your cookies come out of the oven, they're gonna need to sit on a wire rack so they can cool quickly. And if you're not a big baking person and you wonder what that wire rack is for, it's so it can cool top and bottom. If you leave it on that hot tray, it's just gonna keep on cooking. And then you will have a super crispy cookie. And maybe that's your jam, but it's not mine. So that's about the consistency you want your glaze to be, where it comes up and drips gently. But you know, you do you. This is my version. And so after they've cooled for just a few minutes, you just drizzle this over the cookies. And because it's sugar and water, it'll harden back up. So I'll see y'all here shortly for a finished product. Okay, the last step. You've got these nice warm cookies, got your nice glaze. Just drizzle a little bit across the top, however much more you want. And it's a good idea to put these to cool on a nice little wire rack. And if you didn't know, the wire rack to cool them on is so they can cool across the tops and the bottoms and evenly cool. But for the purposes of this video, I am doing it on the cookie sheet because I don't want glaze all over my countertops, all right? So anyway, enjoy your